Hare Krishna, a warm welcome. Hare Krishna, a warm welcome to all our viewers in the GBC SPT session. And I would like to welcome you in the day 4 of the 8-day sadhana series, where we are actually talking about the A, B, C, D, and E of devotion. And today we're going to cover the D of devotion, which is devotion with deities. And to talk to us about this, we have with us Sri Radha Govinda Dasi. A warm welcome to you, Sri Radha Govinda Dasi, from myself and from the GBC Strategic Planning team. Sri Radha Govinda Dasi is a disciple of His Holiness Sri Radha Kamaraj, who is based in Mayapur. She's trained in Bhakti Shastri and Bhakti Vaibhav. She has traveled extensively across the globe teaching, and she still continues to conduct seminars, discourses, and sessions in relation to self-help, astrology, and Vaishnava theology. More recently, a lot of our viewers on Facebook would have seen her reciting some beautiful prayers, verses, and glorifications of Lord Krishna during this auspicious month of Kartik. And what we're going to talk now is actually an extension of that, how we worship the deities and devotion. So a warm welcome once again to you, Sri Radha Govinda Dasi. Honor to have you us with the GBC team today evening, and over to you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Parijata. Thank you for your warm welcome, and thank you to the whole team of the GBC Strategic Planning team. And yeah, this program of the ABCDE is great meditation. And I'm very honored and humbled to be sharing some of my realizations on the D aspect, the devotion to the deities aspect today. And I'm grateful for all of you who are watching this video and joining the journey of meditating on the deities. Along with the D aspect, I was also thinking A, B, C, D, E, and somebody suggested we should also have an F aspect. And F is the fun of Krishna consciousness. And in fact, all the A, B, C, D, E definitely has the fun part to it. And today I want to share with all of you the experience of joy and fun that I have with my relationship with deities. So I grew up in South India, in Karnataka, and we are from Madhva family, and I grew up in a culture where the environment had, it was a combination of superstitious, ritualistic, very strict rules and regulations about how to enter the temple or what deity means or how you need to behave and what you need to do. A lot of that didn't really make much sense to me. I always wondered, what is the point of all this? And then on the other hand, I had my grandfather, we all lived in a joint family, who was this amazingly loving, caring, intelligent, wise personality that spent hours every single day worshipping the deities. And his answers to my questions as a growing child was what actually gave me the faith in the process of Krishna consciousness. And his explanations of what is a deity, or, I heard that God is everywhere, then why should I worship him only in the temple? So, I had all these questions that my grandfather definitely gave that Prabhupada's vision to me, because he would read from Krishna book and he would explain what actually meant Krishna, what actually meant spiritual life. And he would say, do you believe that God can do anything? And I'd say, yeah. So why don't you believe that God can also be in the form of Archa Vigraha, in the form of deity? And he would explain these concepts of how the deities installed in the temples, they are installed by the authorized acharyas in the sampradaya, and they have realized the Lord in this form, and therefore this form is non-different from the Lord himself. I have 3 important lessons that I'd like to share with you from my journey of developing my relationship with deities. And the first lesson is that the Lord, in the form of the deity, does for us what we cannot do for ourselves. Is there an audio problem? Because then I could maybe switch off something here to get better audio. Just a second. Okay, that should be better. Sorry for the interruption. So I'd like to share with you this first lesson. It's actually a prayer that is written or composed by Madhvacharya himself. So I'd like to dedicate this session to Srila Prabhupada, who very beautifully gave us the message of what Madhvacharya wanted us to do in terms of developing relationship with the deities, and ISKCON has established that perfect example. So this is Prinayamo Vasudevam. This, I have to say a little preamble about this particular verse that Madhvacharya composed. During the time when Madhvacharya was preaching, he had a lot of opposition from the Mayavadis and impersonalists. And so one day he was intensely praying to Krishna to help him in his mission. And he walks to the Malpe beach. And as he's walking there, there's a whole pastime of how a boat comes. And in that boat is tilak, big, huge tilak blocks. And that boat gets stuck. And Madhvacharya, just with a wave of his chadar, saves that boat from the storm. And when the boat arrives on the shore, it's found that there is Krishna and Balaram deities inside that block. And the background story is that deity was personally carved by Narad Muni himself 5,000 years ago. And he gifted that deity form of Krishna holding butter in one hand and a stick to herd the cows in the other. So Rukmini Devi could never see Krishna's childhood pastimes. So Narad Muni gifted her this deity because she had this intense desire. And the same deity got lost during the inundation. And later, you see how Madhvacharya, our Acharya, finds this deity in the block of tilak. So when he finds this deity, he composes these verses. And this is a glorification and summary of how Krishna is non-different, that Krishna's form is non-different, and Krishna's deity, Archavigraha, is non-different from Krishna himself. Vandita Sheshayor Vandayor Vrindakam Chandana Charchito Darapi Namsakam Indira Chanchala Pangani Rajitam Mandaro Dari Vridodbhujo Boginam Prinayam Vasudevam Devata Mandala Khanda Mandalam Prinayamo Vasudevam Srishti Samhara Leela Vilasatatam Pushtashat Kunyasat Vigrahollasinam Dushtane Shesha Samhara Karmodyatam Hrishta Pushtati Shishta Prajasam Shrayam Prinayamo Vasudevam Devata Mandala Khanda Mandalam Prinayamo Vasudevam Unnata Pratita Shesha Samsadakam Sannata Laukika Nandana Shripadam Binna Karmashaya Prani Samprerakam Tanna Kim Neti Vedvatsumi Mamsitam प्रीणयामो वासुदेवं देवतामण्डल खण्डमण्डालं प्रीणयामो वासुदेवं प्रीणयामो वासुदेवं प्रीणयामो वासुदेवं. The translation is, I love you, Vasudeva. I love you, Krishna. And this is such an intensely devotional song where he is glorifying how the form of Krishna, which all the demigods worship with intense devotion, to that form where the whole world worships him in so many different forms and names and in different manners, and to that form of the Lord who has these broad shoulders, the paste of chandana, the sandalwood paste, which has divine smell, and to that strong shoulders, I apply the sandalwood paste and I offer these artik. And the artik, actually, it is in this beautiful song, he narrates, the primary artik of the Lord is through the sidelong glance of the goddess of fortune. And just with her eye, his consort worships him. And that's the artik. And his incomparable arms, which protect the whole universe, they are themselves made of bliss. And he lifted the Mandara mountain with ease, which when it sank during the churning of the milk ocean. And so there are different points that are brought up in these verses. The verse is much longer than what I recited. I just recited 3 stanzas of it. The whole point he is sharing is how Krishna is never worshipped alone. He's always worshipped with Goddess of Fortune, Srimati Radharani, Lakshmi Devi, and how his strength and his capacity is unlimited and superior, and it's the same in his deity form as is in his personal form. And we must constantly remember the prowess of Krishna when worshipping the deity. And the whole point, and then he goes on to explain how the love of Goddess of Fortune is unmatched. And she's always there with him in different forms, at different avatars that he takes. There's bliss associated in the innermost of self when we worship this form of the Lord. And it gives us redemption and release from avidya or ignorance. And he goes on to describe how there are so many activities that Krishna performs, such as creation, destruction. But one of the main activities he performs is protecting his devotees. And especially in his Archavigraha form, he protects those who willingly accept to serve him. And he benedicts them with jnana, bhakti, and vairagya, with knowledge, devotion, and detachment. And he is filled with these qualities of strength, of courage, of beauty, of knowledge and renunciation to the par excellence. And he fulfills all the desires of his devotees. And that's he, in the 3rd paragraph that I recited, he glorifies Dhruva Maharaj. And he says how the Supreme Lord, he, in the form of the deity, he knows exactly what the devotee needs. So he gives us what we need, and not necessarily what we want. So he knows what's the best for us. And his auspicious feet must be worshipped by all the devotees, just as Sri Devi personally worships his lotus feet, which can give total bliss to everybody. And in that form of the Lord, he can fully remove a devotee from all doubts. Anyway, that's a summary of the verses. So the lesson, as I shared, is Krishna always does what I can't do for myself. This particular deity, the same deity that Madhvacharya composed, I would like to actually share a picture of this deity for your darshan. Okay, here one. That's Madhvacharya. Sorry, just a second. So Madhvacharya actually carried this deity. When he found this deity, he carried this deity all the way from the beach to Udupi. That's where he installed this Krishna. And he installed the Balaram deity, which was in the other block. He installed the Balaram deity in the beach itself, where right on the shore where the deities were found. So even today, when you go to Udupi, you can actually see the Balaram deity on the beach, and you can see the little naughty Krishna, who is dressed in so many different forms. He is dressed sometimes as Lakshmi Devi, he's dressed as, I don't know, in different incarnations. He's dressed as Matsya, Kurma, and different forms. Okay, I'm ready to share the screen and show you the picture. Okay, so this is Madhvacharya when he found the deity, and he's carrying it to Udupi. And here is our little Krishna. This is the Udupi Krishna. Madhvacharya personally gave instructions to never paint the eyes or dress him as Nrsingadev. Those were a couple of instructions he gave regarding worshipping this deity. And yeah, you can see him dressed in so many different forms, and it's amazing the festivals that they do in Udupi. It's a festival to the eyes. Okay. I'm not sure if you were able to see the screen, but if you didn't see, you can. Oh, okay. So I guess this picture wasn't shared. But Udupi Krishna is holding one stick in one of his hands, and he's holding butter in the other hand. Oh, sharing work. Okay, thank you. So that was Udupi Krishna for you, the darshan of Udupi Krishna. I also would like to share the same deity. This is 500 years ago, during the time of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. There were many devotees who came to set the ground for Mahaprabhu to establish his Sankirtan mission, such as Purandara Dasa, who is an incarnation of Narad Muni. He had come and established, he was already singing these devotional songs and creating a revolution among the people in South India. And there was another devotee who is an incarnation of Vidura, and his name was Kanakadasa. And Kanakadasa was born in a low caste. And during those times, you see, to even have darshan in the temples in Udupi or in other places where there were self-manifested deities was only for caste brahmanas and not for everyone. So Kanakadasa was a great devotee of the Lord who composed many beautiful songs. And one day he was punished for coming around a temple because he was always eager to have darshan of the Lord. And there's this miraculous pastime when this particular deity, the same deity that Madhvacharya found and installed, when Kanakadasa was singing to the Lord, the wall just cracked in order to give darshan to the devotee. So this deity is very powerful, and it shows again that what we cannot do for ourselves, Krishna can do for us. So what Kanakadasa himself could not personally do, Krishna did it for him. And what Madhvacharya was not able to personally do, Krishna came to himself. So sometimes they say, when we take one step, Krishna takes 10 steps towards us. And that's the example of this particular pastime. Okay, that was something about Udupi Krishna. I wanted to share that. Really, personally for me, we are from the Udupi Matas. We were we're from Uttaradi Mata, very, very strict, etc. But my grandfather would give me the essence of why taking care of Krishna, performing the rules, performing the achaman, waking the deities up, dressing the deities, doing abhishek to the deities, how all these elements was a way to express our relationship with Krishna. In other words, these rules and regulations and all the details that is required in deity worship is a way to show that I care the most about this relationship. And so my grandfather would do that every day. He would churn sorry, how do you say, he would make sandalwood paste and he would apply it on Krishna, and he would do every single detail with so much love. So that got instilled in me that the point of us trying to follow all the rules and take care of the details is because this relationship matters. Just as in this world, when we care about a particular relationship, we pay attention to details. Or even, let's say we go for an interview, we care, we think about how am I going to dress? How am I going to speak? How am I going to sit down? What am I going to say? So we are very conscious, we're very mindful of every single thing we do. So when we are in the presence of Krishna in the form of deity, we pay attention to details. We see what he likes, what kind of flowers does he like, what kind of essential oils does he like, what colors, what kind of flowers can I decorate him with? So, and all the other paraphernalia that Krishna actually accepts our love and offering through. So yeah, this is an important lesson for me, that deity worship is a way that I can establish a relationship with Krishna. Second lesson, one of the important deities in my life was Nrsingadev. Our home deity was Nrsingadev, like from many, many generations. Nrsingadev was worshipped in our family. And this lesson that there's always Krishna's hands in our life, whether it's him with his diamond-like nails pulling out the anarthas, there's some discomfort in it, but it's meant for my purification. Or it is like Nrsingadev putting his hands on Prahlad Maharaj's head and nurturing and nourishing energy, which means I feel protected and I feel taken care. Both ways I had that cultural experience of visiting to different holy places, different self-manifested deities. My grandfather would take us on pilgrimage to different temples. So that was another lesson, that there's always the Lord's hands, even in our difficult times, in our mistakes we do, in everything. And yeah, the verse, Vaso yati sarvatra tasmat stambena drishyate. Vaso yati sarvatra tasmat stambena drishyate. Hari sarvatra sa sarvatra stambena drishyate. So this is Vasoyati sarvatra tasmat stambena drishyate. My grandfather would often quote this. He's everywhere, Vasoyati sarvatra, he's everywhere, but he appeared from that pillar, and he appeared for Prahlad Maharaj through that pillar. And we went to, different self-manifested deities temples, and there were so many different pastimes related to a particular devotee, why that particular deity appeared. Even like I'm right now sitting in Mayapur Dham, and this morning I had darshan of Nrsingadev. Every single day, the Lord is performing pastimes. The Lord is making miracles in devotees' lives. There's so many pastimes about Nrsingadev in Mayapur, how he gave back eyes of a devotee by coming into the dreams and telling that I want new pair of eyes. And there were times when Nrsingadev saved lives of devotees. And every single day, Nrsingadev is performing miracles. Same as Jagannath in Jagannath Puri. Every single day, he's performing miracles. Even in Rajapur, Jagannath temple, this morning I visited Rajapur, and I was just meditating on the pastime of Rajapur Jagannath deities, and it's such an incredible story. And what is more incredible is the experiences of the local devotees and even the Muslims who come and honor the prasadam because of certain pastimes that happened. One Muslim one time refused to take prasadam of Jagannath. And that night, Balaram came in his dream and he beat the life out of this person. and the man woke up in the morning and he rushed to Jagannath Mandir in the morning, early morning. He rushed and said, I want Jagannath prasadam. So there are so many pastimes that Krishna is performing every single day in his deity form, and helping to cultivate that faith that he has his hand in our life. Something else I wanted to share about Nrsingadev. There's a deity in, I'll just show you the picture of this deity also. There's a picture of, there's a deity. It's a self-manifested deity. The story is like this. Let me just say the story quickly and then I share the picture. It's in South India. It's called Panaga Narasimha. In different yugas, he had promised the demigods that he would protect the demigods from a particular demon. So in every yuga, he was promised with different, like one yuga, he will be fed with ghee, another yuga with certain nectar, and in Kali Yuga with Panakam. Panakam is actually a drink that's prepared with lemon and gur and water. So even today, this Nrsingadev accepts offering of Panakam, this special sweet drink. He drinks half of what you give him and he gives you back the other half. So it's such an amazing deity. And let me quickly show you the picture. Panaga Narasimha. Narasimha nimba devanu, nambidanta nararigella varava koduvanu. Narasimha, Panaga Narasimha. Okay. I hope it's sharing. Yes. So this is Panaga Narasimha. It's a picture. You can see his huge mouth with which he accepts the offerings and he gives us the other rest of it. Okay. Yeah, that's Nrsingadev. And this is Mayapur. Nrsingadev Bhagavan Ki Jai. So the Lord appears in different forms, in different holy dhams. And as he appeared for Prahlad Maharaj, he appeared for Prahlad Maharaj to keep the word of Prahlad Maharaj. Prahlad Maharaj said he is in the pillar. So the Lord had to be in the pillar. Satyam vidhatum nijabritya bhashitam vyaptim cha bhuteshu akileshu chatmanah adrishyatam atyadbhuta rupam udbhavam stambhe sabhaya namrugam namanusham. So Nrsingadev appeared to prove that the words of his devotees never go in vain. Okay, so the next lesson, what I'd like to share is, maybe one more point regarding the hands of the Lord. Also, I grew up in Bangalore where there was a temple of Balaji, and the deity was actually very small. It's a Balaji deity is usually huge, big. And this deity was actually very small, but I was really attached to Tirupati Balaji, and I developed that relation every single day. I would bring him garlands, I would make him garlands, and there was that everyday leela with the Lord, different things that was going on in our area where we lived. The pastime of Balaji was also another faith-giving factor for me. How was particularly like Hathiram Babaji pastime, when the Lord himself, like when the devotee got imprisoned. I mean, I'm not going to get into all the details, but there was this particular devotee who was so fortunate that the Lord would personally come and play that game of dice with him. That was his leela. So the Lord manifests according to the desire of the devotee, the nature of the devotee. And even at one point, this particular devotee, Hathiram Babaji, was forbidden to have darshan of the Lord. And yet the Lord would personally come to his house and he would play with him. So one time he was playing and he was losing. The devotee was winning and the Lord was losing the game. So the condition was whoever loses must give a gift. So what the Lord did, he left jewelry. He left the jewelry with the devotee and he left. And next morning, they didn't find the jewelry on the deity. They say, where is the jewelry? Somebody stole it. So they came running and they came searching after the jewelry, and they found it in this devotee's place, Hathiram Babaji's place. And that made the king arrest him. And the devotee tried to explain to him, look, the Lord came and was playing with me and he left me this jewelry. I mean, nobody believed it. And so he was imprisoned. And the king said, okay, fine. I'm going to leave you with all this sugar cane. And if really your Lord did come, your Lord is also going to come and help you. You have to finish taking the juice out of the sugar cane overnight. And he left. The king left with the devotee in the prison. And Hathiram Babaji, all he did was just chanted. He just chanted the holy names. And next morning, there was an elephant running out of the prison, and all the guards were trying to catch that elephant. And they figured out that actually that elephant was none other than the Lord Ram himself, or he was reciting the name of Lord Ram. So he himself came and protected the devotee, and he had finished all the sugar cane. The elephant had finished up all the sugar cane, and that gave faith to the king. And he not only released Hathiram Babaji from that prison, he also made him as an administrator. So there's so many pastimes like this where the Lord had such personal relationships, and so many pastimes that brings a lot of faith to our heart. And we may have particular attraction towards a particular deity like that. I had practice deities in my teenage years. I had deities that I would practice worshipping them. They were not installed or anything, but I would practice how to dress them, practice doing arti, practice doing the offering. So that's something we can that can help us in the meditation and developing relationship with the Lord. Even when I was developing relation with Balaji at that time, I was very young, I was school going. I even got like a little deity of Balaji and Padmavati and Hanuman, just as they were in the temple. And I traveled with them. When I traveled different places in the world, I would carry them with me because I would feel that sense of connection with them. Yeah. And also there's another temple. I should show you the picture of a couple of deities that again like gave me like that faith in deity worship and how deities are like so amazing, so powerful. We were living in Vidyamanyanagar somewhere in Bangalore, and there's Magadi, and Magadi is a place where so many different pastimes happen. And there's this particular deity called Magadi Ranga. It's a Ranganath deity of the Lord lying on the ocean on Ananta Shesh. It's actually called Belayo Ranga, Makkala Ranga, Magadi Ranga. This is actually a deity that grows. Yeah, he grows. So when I visited, when I was a very young child, there's a picture of me with this deity. He's actually carved like a carving on the wall. So he was of that size, and I visited like a few years ago now, and he's grown a little bit. So it's a deity which is growing. Okay, I'm going to show you quickly the picture of Magadi Ranga. Okay. This is Magadi Ranga. Hope you can see. This is Ananta Shesh. He's lying down. This is the Ranganath deity. This is the Ranganath the form in Sri Rangam, in Sri Rangapatna, Sri Rangam. There are different deities. And this is that particular one that I used to visit as a child, Magadi Ranga. Makkala Ranga. It's like he's called like children's Ranga, the growing Ranga, Magadi Ranga, he's called. And I'd like to say something about Ranganath. Brahma, personally, he had a few deities that he gave out to certain great devotees. And one of the deity was this form of Vishnu. that he gave to Vibhishan after Ravana was killed. And Vibhishan wanted to take this deity to Lanka to establish there. And when he was taking it, and there was one condition by the Lord, that wherever he will place him, the Lord is going to stay there. He's not going to move. So as Vibhishan was going through Sri Rangam, Tamil Nadu area there, he had to, attend to the call of nature. And so he actually gave the deity to a particular person, and that person couldn't hold the deity; it was getting heavier. So he left the deity on the ground, and the deity basically stayed there. And he's looking towards Lanka, so promising Vibhishan that he'd still protect Lanka by his vision, but he stayed there. So that's another powerful pastime of how Brahma personally gives deities out to great devotees. There's even a Rama deity once Brahma gave. So there are different deities that Brahma himself gave to great devotees. Okay, that's something about Ranganath deity. Oh yeah, this is Balaji. This is Srinivas Govinda Balaji in Tirupati. This is also self-manifested deity. The Lord himself became a stone. He's in Venkatachala Nilayam Vaikunthapurvasam Pankajanetram Paramapavitram Shankachakradhara Chinmaya Rupam Venkatachala Nilayam Vaikunthapurvasam. So this form of Krishna, Balaji, Prabhupada actually said Balaji is Krishna himself as a form of Krishna. So here you can see him with Shankha and Chakra, conch shell and Sudarshan Chakra. And there are a few things I'd like to say about him. He actually is entering into the Viraja river. Every year he's actually going down. He's going to disappear in the end of Kali Yuga. The deity is going to go and merge inside under the river in Viraja. So right now, actually, the deity is only from the ankles. The feet is actually already inside. And one interesting thing is, you can see this white mark on his forehead. That's actually the Karpuram. There's a whole pastime of how he got hurt, and that was supposed to meant to protect him from the bleeding. That particular mark on Fridays, they reduce it. They reduce the size of it. So he looks like, his eyes are more open. Pankaja Netram, his lotus eyes are wide open. And in the Tirumala hills, in Tirupati, there's Tirumala hills where you can go up and the Lord is standing there. So in Tirumala hills, every Friday, the thieves get caught. Isn't that interesting? The thieves get caught because on that particular day, the Lord has his eyes more open. So many pastimes like this every day, every place the Lord is performing. So that's something about Balaji. Okay, let me show you another deity and another picture from memories of my childhood pastimes. Ittige ಮ್ಯಾಲೆ ನಿಂತ ನಮ್ಮ ವಿಠಲ ತಾನು ದಿಟ್ಟ ತಾನು ಪುಟ್ಟ ಪಾದ ಊರಿ ನಿಂತ ದಿಟ್ಟ ತಾನು ಪಂಡರಪುರದಲ್ಲಿ ಇರುವನಂತೆ ಪಾಂಡುರಂಗನೆಂಬುವನಂತೆ ಇಟ್ಟಿಗೆ ಮ್ಯಾಲೆ ನಿಂತ ನಮ್ಮ ವಿಠಲ ತಾನು ದಿಟ್ಟ ತಾನು ಪುಟ್ಟ ಪಾದ ಊರಿ ನಿಂತ ದಿಟ್ಟ ತಾನು. This is Pandrapur Panduranga. Panduranga Vithala. He is another very special form of the Lord who is a self-manifested deity. He came and stood at the door of a devotee, and the devotee was busy with his duties, taking care of his parents, etc. So the devotee told Krishna, please wait for me, and he threw a couple of bricks. And the Lord stood on that brick. And what you see here is the Lord standing on those two bricks with his hands on his waist. So waiting for the devotee to come and attend to him. So the Lord became the deity there. So you can see this deity in Panduranga Vithala. Yeah, so yeah, that's some of the deities I wanted to share. The story is about that I had, mm, the great fortune of having darshan of, listening to their pastimes. Mm, yeah, there was another pastime I was thinking to share that gives the glimpse of our mm, method of deity worship, dressing the deities. So yeah, in South India, there's not so much the culture of dressing the deities with clothes because clothes are considered not clean. So it's usually kavachas. What you see, like you saw Tirupati Balaji has the kavacha. Kavacha is like the armor, whether it's gold with diamonds and golden armor, silver, or you can even Balaji does wear um, silk robes. Mm, in Udupi, they don't use cloth unless they do it for different dressing him into different incarnations. But usually, is the kavacha, is that metal kavachas they usually dress the deities with. So deity dressing. When I was a kid, they would like forbid me don't use clothes. And when I came to Mayapur and started living here, it was like ecstasy to dress the deities with different kinds of clothes and jewelry and all that. Mm. Yeah, so I wanted to share this pastime. This is a pastime that it's a very joyful. This lesson for me is about the joyful meditation, about dressing Krishna. Dressing Krishna is such a joy. And Srila Prabhupada actually, in one letter, he writes, this is a letter to Hayagriva. It's Seattle, 7th October, 1968. Prabhupada says, regarding your enemy, Mr. Lust, I have noted the difficulties, but we should always remember that Krishna is stronger than any demon. On Mr. Lust or his father or his grandfather, nobody can do anything provided we take shelter of Krishna very tightly. Now, so far as your personal matter is concerned, he's speaking to the brahmachari here. So you're a brahmachari, you can marry at any time. And in New York, all the nice girls, they're actually very suitable for our students. I encourage that all the brahmacharis may be very responsible and marry one of the girls. Because generally the girls desire a good husband and a good home, children. That is natural propensity. So we want to show some ideal householders also. But the proposal that marriage will solve the question of lust is not practical. Neither wife should be accepted as a machine for satisfying our lust. The marriage tie should be taken as very sacred. One who marries for subduing lust is mistaken, because lust cannot be satisfied simply by indulging in sense gratification. It is compared with that extinguishing the fire with large amounts of petrol. For the time being, the fire may appear to be extinguished by pouring a large quantity of petrol, but the petrol itself is so dangerous that at any time it can be inflamed. So, to subdue lust is a different process. Then you have to take to deity worship. I'm sending here with one copy of the process of deity worship. Krishna is Madan Mohan. You have already stated in your letter, it is very nice that you would much prefer to channel all your desires to Krishna. And you ask me how this is possible when enveloped in Maya, seeing only material forms. You have also written to say that if you can see the absolute beauty, which is all attractive, then you could not help but be attracted and would scorn mundane beauty. That is actual remedy. So this point about Srila Prabhupada recommending deity worship to control lust is a powerful lesson that's helped me personally. Every day when I go to Mangalarati, is like, okay, that's looking forward. Okay, just see Madhava's face, and that's like the background for the rest of my day. It's like the saving grace. Then come home, then I have my deities that I take care. I don't do abhishek to all the deities. One of them is wood, his Sadbhuj Bhagwan, so I can't do abhishek to him. But some deities I do the abhishek every day. But it's such a important way of engaging the senses, the mind. The mind knows that this is my schedule. This is what I'm engaging in my day. And this is my morning. I'm chanting these verses. I'm trying to do this. And it becomes like mind starts to look forward for it. And so personally for me, dressing the deities, doing abhishek to the deities has helped me immensely to kind of keep that focus. I want to share, like, basic things for, especially for deity worship at home. This is my experience. I just want to share like few things that helps according to Srila Prabhupada's instructions and what is recommended. The first thing is rising early, because Prabhupada says that Brahma Muhurta, we should get up, because it's generally accepted as the most auspicious time of the day, and what we do in that day sets the whole mood for the rest of the day. So that's like a very good practice. Some of us may chant, just wake up and first thing chant. Some of us may go to the temple, have darshan. So it depends on our where we stay, etc. And next is the cleanliness aspect, dressing with clean clothes, taking shower regularly and several times a day, depending on what country we stay in. Yeah, I mean, basic thing for deity worship is also we don't wear the same clothes that we wear when we go to the bathroom. Like, I mean, use the bathroom thing. We take shower if we use the bathroom before, and we change the clothes before we touch the deities. Then we have some basic ingredients like at home for deity worship. Sometimes we use like oils, and we may use ghee for ghee lamps and things. And we may use, depending on locally what kind of oil we find. Like in South India, we use like teal oil or certain oils, especially for certain months. And here in West Bengal, we find mustard oil. Sometimes we use mustard oil. Ghee is, of course, ghee lamps are the best. And like in Vrindavan, they offer different oils, like kadamba, rose, different oils, and flowers, of course, depending on what we find. In Mayapur right now, we find a lot of parijata flowers, so we can make garlands and offer to the deities. Then we use paraphernalia such as conch, basic conch shell, because the Lord's constant companion is a conch, so it's very worshipable. It embodies qualities of power, purity, beauty, and it also represents liberation. Then in the kitchen is also very important to have basic standards, like have separate pots, and we don't like mix the offering plates with other plates. We kind of keep your own place just for deities' plates and pots. What else? Yeah, I mean, preparing the best possible preparations for Krishna, cooking for Krishna with that intention of having that relation with him, and waiting for Krishna to savor the food that we are going to later on take during the day and nourish ourselves. The food is not just for survival. It's actually a way that Krishna is showing the love for us and nourishing us with that Mahaprasadam. So we usually try our best to have first class rice, dal, fruit, vegetables. Also, like waking up the deities, putting the deities to sleep. It depends on the size of the deities, etc. There was a time in my life where I would every day put my deities to sleep and wake them up. And then there were times that I would mentally put them to sleep. The beds, it depends on your mood and your relation. And I think the important thing is also consistency, to just like in any relationship, to have like to start slow, to start with basic steps and then increase. Like Abhishek also, we may not like, oh, I'll do Abhishek every day, and then we may not be able to do. So it's good maybe once in maybe Ekadashis or once in a week, or even changing clothes. Sometimes you may want, especially if they're like practice deities and things, you can slowly add things in and not start too much. It should be a loving act. It should be something that helps us develop that relation with Krishna, and we willingly want to do things to show to Krishna that we care about details. Yeah, I mean, the basic, maybe if you could learn Achaman, performing Achaman before offering the plate of beautifully decorated plate. Whatever we cook, we can decorate nicely to Krishna and offer it. It really kind of gives you that sense of meaning and purpose to do that. Every offering can actually bring us closer to that relation with Krishna. It's a very personal thing. That's a beauty of Krishna consciousness. Artik, you can schedule an artik, maybe one artik a day, or however your schedule allows you. The main thing is I think the main thing is regularity, punctuality, and trying to do as much as possible. Yeah, so those are like some tips that help me personally in my deity worship. Do we have any questions? Yeah, so that's...
Thank you so much, Radha Govind, for that wonderful nectar which was flowing from Ranganath to Pandharpur to Udupi to Mayapur, and you just took us like, and all the dhams. So wonderful. We do have one question. It's a little long. I'm just going to read it here. So this is from Polami, and she says, Hari Bol Danvat Pranams. Thank you so much, dear Mataji, for all the beautiful pastimes. I had a small inquisitiveness on deity worship. We know that the Lord's Archu form in the temple is as same as the beloved deity in our home, but we often observe that the puja procedures at our home are very much flexible than the regulations followed in the temple. Also, we see that a prohibition given in any one temple may not be followed in some other. How to understand this? Please explain, Danvats.
Thank you. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you for your question. It's very relevant. It's yes, deity worship at temple, it has different standards. Deity worship ministry has certain standards that they've set about which temple has to have what kind of standards. Like Gaur Nitai temple has a particular set of standards, whereas Radha Krishna is a different standard. So every temple has different, depending on the deities they have, and different depending on installed deities or not. So there are so many standards, and some places are preaching centers where they may have practice deities like Gaur Nitai. They're not installed, but they're practice deities. So the offerings are made, the artik is made, but it's not like there are like set standards. But once the deity is installed, then they have to follow the regulations. Yes, I mean the temple worship itself is, that's why you have, like, you to be able to do temple worship, you go through the whole training. Deity worship ministry has a we have here Mayapur Academy, where they give the training on how to do all the procedures, all the argya and the achaman and the way you dress and the bathing and dressing and how to wake the deities, what mantras to say, what kind of clothes, what kind of ornaments, how do you do those clothes and ornaments. It's, Prabhupada actually once said, he actually wrote, Srila Prabhupada wrote about deity worship is not like once in a week or once in a while, it's every day. And in fact, we can see in the pastimes of Krishna himself, talking about standards, just talking about like standards, I just remembered. That Prabhupada said that in teachings of Queen Kunti, that it should not be like once in a week or something. It should be every day. And Prabhupada says, as many times as possible you dress Krishna, as many times as possible you feed Krishna. Because in Prabhupada says, Krishna is the most opulent enjoyer, and he provides things in opulent way so he can enjoy. So we must give that opulence to him. This is something from, I was actually listening to a lecture where it's about, in Bhakti Ratnakar, Narahari Chakravarti Thakur, when he speaks about the Sringara Leela pastimes of Radha and Krishna, there's this amazing pastime where it's such an amazing pastime where Krishna and Radha kind of get lost in time, and they don't realize that it's time for Ras Leela, and so it's delayed. So Radharani is not dressed up yet, because you see, in the pastimes, Radharani gets dressed 10 times. It is mentioned 10 times: upon waking, after the bath, before breakfast time, after the breakfast, and before lunch she gets dressed up. During the lunch she wears a particular cloth, and when she goes to Yamuna, she's wearing a particular clothes and ornaments. when she's taking bath, and then when she comes out, she gets dressed again, and then she gets ready to go and meet Krishna. And for the Ras Leela, she has the particular dress. Then when she comes back home, she dresses up. So there's 10 times Krishna. That's like 10 times, okay? They change the clothes and ornaments. And in that particular pastime, Krishna personally dresses Srimati Radharani. And it is mentioned about how he uses every paraphernalia that different gopis brought. So, we're talking about like the standard there. So the point of the standards is with the best of our ability. And Krishna is the most opulent enjoyer, whatever facility he gives us, depending on what kind of house I have, what kind of economic facilities I have, my time, my schedule. We adjust it and make it a priority to give time to Krishna. So that is my understanding. And depending on our temple needs, also economy of the temple. So we have different standards. I hope this answers your question, but it's a kind of a broad answer that it all depends on our capacity. It all depends on our standards of what kind of choice we make, what kind of deity we have, what kind of, whether it's a preaching center, at our home, what kind of deities we want to worship, for what standards. It's up to us. The point is to gradually increase it. The point is to develop a relationship with Krishna.
Thank you for that. We have another question here. This is our last question for the day. This is from Priyadarshini Sharma. And she's asking, Hare Krishna Mataji, my family members do not allow me to offer food to the Lord. What can I do?
Okay. Thank you, Priyadarshini, for this very relevant question. Some of us go through this phase of our life where we may live amongst people that are not favorable. Couple of things comes to my mind. Something I used to do when I was in college. I used to go out with friends and they didn't believe in offering, and I used to want to offer the food. One thing was, if it's a food that is already, let's say people already ate it. So the minimum thing is Sri Vishnu, Sri Vishnu, Sri Vishnu, so that at least the contamination of the karmi thing is reduced. But if it's a home situation where there is some amount of control, some amount of connection, if like I would do that initial days, I'd go into the kitchen and talk nicely with my grandmother or my mother, because they wanted to offer, but their Madhva way and not ISKCON way. They didn't want me to keep like Prabhupada pictures and all that initially. So what I would do is I would go there and mentally I would just say the prayers. No, Krishna can understand. The point is Krishna is a person, okay? Krishna understands our intention. Krishna is called the Bhavagrahi Janardana. He actually takes the intention of the devotee. So in these situations where we are forced to be in situations where it's not easy, it's not favorable, we can pray to Krishna to give us a situation which is more favorable. Second, we can mentally offer the food if it's nobody has eaten and it doesn't have eggs or fish or any other forbidden ingredients. We can offer to Krishna mentally. You can say the mantras mentally, so Krishna can accept it. That's something I used to do. And what else? Pray to Krishna to somehow allow this offering to happen somehow in the future, to have prasad. Offer the food mentally, or say Sri Vishnu in case if you cannot. Yeah, that's something that comes to my mind. I hope that helps you.
I think that should be helpful. Priyadarshini, I hope that was an answer to your question. And also our gratitude to all our viewers for all your wonderful comments that you have been writing for us and Sri Radha Govinda. That was beautiful. And please stay in touch with us for more sessions. And also a warm, warm gratitude to Sri Radha Govinda. Thank you so much for taking us into these 3 lessons. That's my take home for today evening, the wonderful 3 lessons that you shared with us in devotion. And also just how important it is to nourish this natural love for Krishna, and to just water the seed of devotion and gradually let it flourish. So these are some of the take homes that we are going to take with us, and we hope that we can have you again. But till then, we are definitely going to look forward to listening to your prayers, to your bhajans, to your raps. All of us like it, and we look forward to all that love and devotion that you express through your songs and through your beautiful creative expressions. And to our viewers, I would like to say that we have still more sessions coming up from our sadhana series. So please subscribe and please stay tuned with the GBC SPT channel on YouTube and on Facebook. And thank you very much for being with us today evening. Hare Krishna.